What if I told you that you are not stuck in limbo? You are not stuck in limbo. What if I told you that you have simply been measuring your life in the wrong direction? Simply measuring in the wrong direction. And I'm going to give you in this episode three ways, three principles that you can do, that you can use, that you can live by, that will get you from stuck back into momentum. Welcome back to Rollerset to Mindset. I'm Angela. I am your guide when you find yourself in limbo at life's crossroads and you are desperate, I tell you, to move your life forward and to get unstuck. So that's what this conversation is all about because I know sometimes you feel like you've been doing all the right things. You've been journaling, you've been praying, you've been doing the work on yourself, all of the above, and you still feel like you are not moving. If that's you, come a little closer because I've been reading a book called The Gap and the Gain, y'all, from by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And let me tell you something. When I tell you this book has flipped my mindset like no other book other than God's Word. I'm telling you, it has made a difference. It has added to my experience of shifting my mind. And let me explain what I mean by that. There are two ways to measure your life according to this book. One of the way is the gap. And the gap is when you're measuring yourself against where you think you should be. I'm going to say that again. The gap is when you're measuring yourself where you think you should be. You're measuring yourself against where you think you should be. And the gain is measuring yourself against who you used to be. Do I need to say that again? The gain is measuring yourself against who you used to be. And most women, like statistics would tell you that most women in our 50s, our 60s, and our 70s and beyond live in the gap without even knowing it. But I am here to tell you from my research and my talking with women and coaching women, listen, the women who are in their 30s and their 40s are in the same boat. In the same boat. We wake up comparing ourselves to some invisible ideal woman. We really and truly do the Diane Carols of the world, the Claire Huxtable of the world, the June Cleavers, if I would even begin to say that, of the world. And we're comparing ourselves to some invisible character that is made up, who appears as if they had it all together in their particular block of history and in time. And we measure ourselves by what hasn't happened yet. But if we were to measure ourselves by how far we have come from who we used to be, from where we used to be, we won't feel so far away from our goals. And what happens is that constant comparing ourselves, the constant comparing ourselves, it steals everything from us and it adds nothing. It steals our joy. It crushes our confidence. It blurs our clarity. And it makes us believe, come on now, it makes us believe that we're not making progress, that we're not making any progress at all. But this is the truth I found to be for me. And I hope you see yourself in this. You have made progress you've made more progress than you give yourself credit for, and that you give yourself permission to see. And so today, I'm going to teach you three principles from the book, The Gap and the Gain, that will help to keep you going. It'll give you something to keep you going, even in your lowest moments. And I know you have them because I'm just coming out of one. Okay? And what I'm trying to do is through sharing what I've learned in this book, is I want to help you reclaim your momentum. I want you to reclaim your clarity, and I want you to reclaim your confidence. So all I can say is let's go grab something to write with, and just let's start figuring this thing out, okay? So principle number one, okay, principle number one, and this is how they describe it: measure backwards, not forward. Now, that's a different kind of concept, to measure backwards, because we're always taught to keep looking forward, keep looking to your future self. But for today, I want you to measure backwards and not forward. Because what happens is, I talked about the gap and the gain earlier. Well, the gap looks at distance. The gap looks at distance, but the gain looks at direction. Now that's a very intriguing concept. So let me ask you something. Where were you 5 years ago? Where were you 5 years ago emotionally? Where were you 5 years ago mentally? And where were you 5 years ago spiritually? Give that some thought. Write it down. Where were you 5 years ago? Better than that, where were you 3 years ago? Mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. What version of you had less courage? What version of you had less clarity about what you wanted to do, where you wanted to be, how you wanted to do it? What version of you had less clarity? What version of you had less patience? What version of you had less insight? And what version of you had fewer boundaries? Oh, you don't you don't want to hear that version. You don't want to hear about that version of me in terms of having less boundaries. And love, this is what I want you to grasp. You're not even the same woman anymore. You're not that same woman that you were 3 years ago. You're not that same woman that you were 5 years ago. And when you recognize that, that makes a difference. But you keep measuring yourself against the woman you think you should be by now. Think about it. And if you're honest with yourself, you will say, you know what? Angela, you're right. I do measure myself against the woman I think I should be by now. That should be, those two words will mess you up if you're not careful. And that's why you feel like you're not progressing. That's why you feel like you are bona fide stuck in limbo. Because when you measure yourself, listen to me now, when you flip that script and you challenge yourself to measure yourself backwards, guess what happens? You sit up a little straighter. Your confidence comes back because you can see your growth. You can see your growth. And here's the thing, you can feel your strength, and you can recognize how far you have truly, truly come. So from this day forward, I want you to measure yourself from backwards, not forward. The second principle that the book talks about is celebrate every win. And I say it all the time. That's my alma mater. Celebrate every win. But here's the thing, especially the invisible ones. Not the ones that people can see, not the ones that you wear on your shoulder. No, 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 no. Let me tell you, in our 30s, in our 40s, in our 50s, And beyond, the wins are quieter. I don't care what no one says. Your quiet win doesn't happen when you're 50 and older. Mm-mm. You 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds, you have your quiet wins as well. It's not the degree, it's not the house, it's not the promotion, it's none of those things. It's internal. It's internal. And if you were honest with yourself, you would agree with me. It's the taking that internal intake and say, you know what? It's saying no when you should have people pleased. Hey, can I get a hand raise? And if it's you, then you put in the comment, right in the comment, oh yeah, this is me. It's internal. When you're resting without guilt, when you allow yourself to rest without feeling guilty, without feeling you should be doing more, well, your more is resting. Okay? It's the internalness that comes from that internal win, that quiet internal win when you speak up for yourself. When you speak up for yourself, and I know I'm right about it's that quiet, invisible win when you're starting something new. Hear me now. When you're starting something new without knowing what the final what the final outcome is going to be. It's also that invisible win of protecting your peace. We got to go back to the invisible wins. And ladies, it's that invisible win of choosing yourself. And it's okay. Choosing yourself. These small invisible wins are enormous. Are enormous. It's that smallness that grows into something huge. Because what you're doing is you're creating emotional progress for yourself. You're creating spiritual maturity for yourself, and you're identifying your strength. Because a lot of us sometimes feel weak because we don't identify our strength. And once you begin to identify your strength, then you could stack it. And then the real evidence comes up and it shows you that you are not decaying, you are growing. And that's something that you could do every single day. As a matter of fact, promise yourself that you are going to start recognizing your small, invisible wins. Okay? Write this down. The third principle is this: redefine progress, not as arriving, but as becoming. And let me put it a different way: redefine progress as becoming and not as arriving. Because becoming is a process. A becoming doesn't jump on you. Becoming is like a leaf that is opening up, a flower that is opening up. And it doesn't jump out at you, but it's slow. Almost you can't even see it, but you know it's happening. You know that it is happening. And this part, this is the heart of your next chapter. Hear me now. This is the heart of your next chapter. Progress, y'all, progress, ladies, it's not about crossing a finish line. No, no, because once you've crossed that line, you've crossed that line. You've arrived, okay? But we're not talking about arriving. We're talking about becoming and all of the wonderful things that happen in that progress. Progress is not about crossing a finish line. It's about becoming the woman capable of receiving everything that you've been praying for. Because some of us do not know how to receive. We're so used to giving. We're so used to putting it out. But I want to encourage you to learn how to receive simply because you deserve it. Simply because it is yours. You deserve it. Listen to me. You don't need, you don't, you don't get to the new chapter first. You don't get to your next chapter first. You become the woman who can hold that new chapter. You have to become the woman who can hold that next chapter before it shows up. Otherwise, it's going to crumble. So, my question to you is, are you working on the becoming aspect of you? Because that's where your power is. That's where your power is. See, the gain, it teaches you that every single moment, every moment, every tear, every setback, every breakthrough is shaping you into someone stronger. That quiet strength that the world didn't give it to you, and certainly it cannot take it away. You become someone wiser. You become someone more aligned with your purpose. And once you become aligned with your purpose, you're not just seeing through your natural eyes. You see through your spiritual eyes. You recognize the fact that you are not behind. There's no such thing as behind. But the only be you are becoming is the only be is that you are becoming. You're never behind. You're always becoming. So I want you to take the time and I want you to ponder these three principles. The first principle being measure backward, not forward. Okay? The second principle, celebrate every win, especially the invisible ones. And the final principle is redefine progress as becoming and not arriving. And if you take the time to really work through those principles, write it out. What does it mean for you? What does it look like for you? You will come to discover that you have made so much progress, that you are so much more than you know, and that every step that you took was like some people feel like, oh, I take one step forward and two step back. Mm-mm. But every step that you take was a necessary step to get you where you are and who you are, more importantly, in the present moment. In the present moment. So if you're listening today, ladies, if you're listening and you feel tired, I get that. You feel discouraged. You feel drained. You feel disappointed. You feel like you're just not making any progress. I want you to know this, that I see you. I feel you. I'm praying for you. I'm encouraging you. And I want you to pause and I want you to breathe and I want you to look backwards and I want you to look at the you who didn't give up when you could have, when it would have been easy for you to give up. I want you, the you that, I want you to recognize the you that survived things that others didn't. Do you know how deep that is? You survived when others didn't. I want you to recognize the you who kept going. I want you to recognize the you that transformed quietly, silently, all that stuff. And I want you to recognize the you that found your strength, found your faith again. The you who showed up for yourself when life wasn't showing up for her. Mm, that's you. That's the you I see. That's the woman whose story that you're measuring against. Not the ideal, not the perfect, not the fantasy. Mm-mm, mm-mm. You are gaining every single day. And I want you to recognize that. I want you to embrace that. And I want you to call on that. Think of that when you feel like giving up. Okay? And also, if this episode has blessed you now, don't gatekeep it. Don't keep it to yourself. First of all, subscribe to the channel, share it, share the episode out to someone who you think can benefit from that. And if you're in need of community, I'll leave a link down below in the description below so that you can check out my community where I help build you up. You can access it and get some encouragement as you go, as you become. I'll talk with you soon, okay? All right. Bye.